Well, in yesterday's show with Mike and Paul, I sent an email to Heidi and Paul regarding the Gulf of Mexico in relation to the saltwater intrusion that Louisiana is experiencing and Mississippi too. And this was something that I forecasted back in 2010 during the Gulf oil spill. Some of you remember who I am when I was talking about that, and I did tell Heidi and Paul that back then I was the hotshot regarding the Gulf oil spill, also with BP oil disaster. Not the guy you know on YouTube now, but another guy. He unfortunately passed away. May he rest in peace. He was on top of this too, and we had some great conversation with each other regarding this. And I come to some information. I have a problem. I can't find my transformer for my external hard drive. Somehow it's misplaced, and there I have a file with the entire schematics of what they did in the Gulf of Mexico at the oil rig Deepwater Horizon. But I can sum it up because I have a video here on my channel. It's 2 hours and 36 minutes long. And if you really want to understand what happened out in the Gulf of Mexico in April 2010 and into the future, that is something that I would suggest you go watch. There will be a link maybe up in the corner of the screen if I can still do that, or at least it will be in the description box as the first link. I will delete all the other ones and leave that one alone so there's no mistake about what it is. But back in 2010, Deepwater Horizon was out drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, and they were, if I get it correct, they were top leasing Macondo grid. The entire Gulf of Mexico is divided up in squares, and they're all called MC, Macondo Canyon. That's what it means. And they top leased 292, which is in this area here, and they bottom leased 294. And what do we find in 294? We're finding, here we got Biloxi Dome. This is an asphalt volcano. I'll come to that. Over here we got Gloria Dome, which is a gigantic mountain of salt brine. It's a shaft that connects to all the salt brines there is in the Gulf of Mexico and inland. And here comes the smoking gun. I told you back then that Deepwater Horizon explosion was a designed disaster. And I also told you what it would lead to. And Paul asked, because I wrote a long email to Heidi and Paul, that they have to look into this because I know what they did out there, and I had it confirmed by an expert. He's also passed away. His name was A.C. Griffith. I was on many talk shows with him, with another group of people that had a talk show channel, but we were on that channel talking about this, and we often got interrupted, like Mike sometimes get cut out, and then they have to call back again. But in that period of time, I lost 7 channels because I did not want to shut up about this subject. Apparently, someone in the higher echelon did not like the evidence presented. So, to me, that tells me that I must be right over the target, because why would they want to shut me down speaking about this and put out the evidence of what they did out here? So in this area here, they top leased, but they drilled in here. They drilled into the asphalt volcano. They drilled into the Biloxi Dome and the Gloria Dome. They drilled into them on purpose. And if you remember, they were talking about after the disaster happened. The first mishap happened over here. And it blew up. The wellhead here blew up. And they were not able to put a blowout preventer on it. Of course not. The pressure down there is 120,000 psi. And as far as I know, no man-made construction can contain that amount of pressure. Okay, it failed. It started spewing. Over here, they moved. And it failed. In both cases, according to the news, they were drilling down to 20,000 feet, meaning there will be 25,000 feet, because the water table above the seafloor is 5,000 feet. So there's 25,000 feet. They drilled both holes. They went over here to start over. But the schematics I have the evidence of was this hole they drilled here was 48,000 feet deep. The same with this hole, 48,000 feet. Now they said on the news that they would drill relief wells in order to minimize the pressure, because if you have one tube and you put an extra tube on it, the pressure drops. That's the theory. But also there, in that case, with these two relief wells, meaning follow this line I'm making here, and that was the primary drill. The relief well was to be drilled in to intersect somewhere along this line in order for the pressure go both directions and therefore minimize the pressure, reducing it. But what I found was these two relief wells, C and D, that they drilled to respectively to seal off this or minimize the pressure, they also drilled them to 48,000 feet. So that means this line here, and they drilled down here, that means they're actually compounding the problem, because they're drilling in the exact same spot to make sure that what they're planning on doing is going to happen. You get me now? I say that Deepwater Horizon was a false flag event set in motion in order to set off the New Madrid line. And you might ask, what has that to do with the New Madrid fault line? I'll tell you that. I'll come to that. But Paul asked Mike, because of my email to Heidi and Paul the other day, and I said they need to look into this. This is very important. I know exactly what they did. I know exactly what the plan is. And I gave them the link to my documentary. You will have that link too. And if you really want to know, you gotta watch that. I lay everything out from start to finish. So there would be no mistake for you to understand what took place here. This was not an oil disaster. And my video will show that it wasn't. This amount of crude oil they talked about that was spewing into the ocean is a big lie. A lot of people made a fat amount of money on this crap. Halliburton, Dick Cheney, Obama, $80 million to shut up. 80 million. He got filthy rich on this incident. Now, let me zoom out. This area here, according to marine biologists and geologists, is the most volatile area to drill in, and is highly recommended not to do so, because the subterranean here is extremely unstable. You see this area here, right there. This is a steep declination in the seafloor. It plunges straight down. This is actually what you're looking at here. This is a vertical wall pretty much, going from 5,200 feet to no more than 400 feet below surface. So this is a gigantic, over 1 mile plunge into the abyss. This area here is a no-go for oil exploration, period. Now, you look at this, Louisiana is here. They're talking right now about saltwater intrusion. Mississippi is also experiencing, oh, that's Mississippi. Experiencing, no, that's, what? That's Alabama. Mississippi is here, Biloxi. Right there. I got it wrong. These are highly connected to each other. And saltwater intrusion has been declared as an emergency in Louisiana especially along the Mississippi River, where the the Army Corps of Engineers is out trying to do something about the problem. But they can't do anything about it. There is no stopping this. This is a done deal. Now zoom out again. Right here, from this area here, and all the way down here, this long line here, we have New Madrid fault line sitting. Once upon a time, this continent of US was actually split here, and salt water was flowing here. Some reason, it came back together again and sealed up the gap. And New Madrid fault line is sitting in this area right here. This is the epicenter of the New Madrid fault. Now I'm going to go to the picture here. You see, this area here I just described to you. This is here where Biloxi Dome and Glory Dome is. Correct? Look at this. This is a gigantic salt brine pool. This is solid salt in the crust. Back in 2010, I told you, by drilling into this, seawater will now penetrate and slowly and surely dissolve this brine pool. It will salinate the ocean water even further, but it will also compromise the land structure, meaning the surface that you're walking on. While you're walking around in lower Louisiana and lower Mississippi, you're walking right now on top of a fluid brine pool. No longer solid, but a fluid brine pool. This salt water is going to get in everywhere because of the immense pressure. Therefore, they got saltwater intrusion in Louisiana, and that's now called a state emergency. Mississippi is soon to call a state emergency because of this too. I haven't heard they have said that, but I know the governor of Louisiana has declared this is an emergency. Yeah, it is. I cannot even in words describe how endangered you are living in Louisiana, the southern part of Louisiana. Look how big it is. It is gigantic. It's the size of bloody Texas, okay? All this is going to be dissolved by the water rushing in, because now the pressure down here has been released, and that allowed that immense pressure from above to seep in and dissolve the brine pool, which was once solid. It's still solid in some areas, but not here anymore. In this area here, you're walking on very unstable ground now. I told you that in 2010. This is going to collapse. The lower part of the Gulf states is going to go into the ocean. It's going to disappear permanently. The whole thing is going to collapse on itself. But we can also just do that, right? But I'm not. But some people are doing that. And then come to Biloxi Dome, which is the asphalt volcano. This is the area too. Right here we got Biloxi Dome, Gloria Dome. All this is an asphalt volcano connected directly to Biloxi Dome. If Biloxi Dome erupts, which I think it will, all this asphalt here is starting to seep out, further compromising the Gulf Mexico seafloor. You got a salt brine lying on top of this, putting enormous pressure downwards into the subterranean. It's pushing on this because now salt water is coming in, and salt water is heavy, much heavier than fresh water is. So if Biloxi Dome here is going into a full eruption, I say it will, that allows the pressure to be released in the asphalt volcano. On top of this asphalt volcano was what I just showed you here, the brine pool. So now you can put 2 and 2 together. This whole area here, even Texas will be interrupted. Even parts of Mexico is going to feel the brunt effect of this. And now, not to shift subject, because this is on top subject. And again, I'm saying to you, I'm over the target. I know exactly what they did. This is to set off the New Madrid fault line. You remember in the Old Testament that God hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he set off to chase down the Israelites while they were going to the Promised Land, and where Moses departed the waters, and the Israelites escaped, and the waters fell in on itself again and drowned Ramses II with all his soldiers. You all know that story, the Exodus. Now, in the New Testament, it is also in the Old one. I can't remember exactly what book. I think it's Isaiah. I could be wrong. But it says, and so they shall say, peace and security. Then sudden destruction shall come upon them, and none shall escape. The day before yesterday, Hamas, Hezbollah, attacked Israel. You're not getting the full story of that. The death toll is much higher. And my opinion is, Netanyahu, where you know the Hezbollah and the Hamas is, kill them. Wipe them off the face of the map. No trace of them found. Get rid of them. There will never be peace there. Oh, peace. They are in this moment in UN in the processing of ratifying the 7-year peace treaty, this 2-state solution. And after that has been signed, ratified, signed, and become law, if you like, they will come up and say, peace and security. And that is where, like Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he said after the Israelites, then America is a part of this peace treaty. They are part of a 2-state solution in Israel. And it is like this. If anybody is splitting the Promised Land, Israel, their own land, the Israelites, they belong there. It's their land, period. History will prove that. Don't even discuss it with me. History shows that. It's their land. If anybody splits that up, God is going to be swift in his punishment of those who are involved in this splitting up his land. It is his land. All of it we're walking on. The entire earth is his. but he has a very, very, very strict viewpoint on Israel. And don't tamper with that. You will feel his fury on that. So I said in 2010, these people here, because it's always been in the plans for a long, long, long time. If anybody thinks that Israel got any allies, then you're wrong. Nobody is freaking allied with Israel. They claim to be, but they're spying on them and compromising their national security time and time and time and time and time again. It's a never-ending story. There has always been conflict there because there are factions. Even back in the ancient time, they don't want Israelites. They want Israelites to be killed. The Arabs in the Testament, Old Testament say, let us cut them off from being a nation. Let the name of Israel be no longer in remembrance. What does that tell you? Does that tell you that they want to kill all the Israelites? Yes, it does. Cut them off from being a nation. Let the name Israel not any longer be in remembrance. And you have seen the onslaught that has been through centuries against people who believe, who has the faith, who has the truth. You believe in Jesus Christ, you have a target on your back. Are you an Israelite or a Jew, if you like? You have a target on your back because that is those people who belong to God. That is his people. Therefore, the devil and his minions and men walking on this earth serving the devil is out to kill you. And I've said that for a decade. They want us dead. Do you understand that? They want us dead. Georgia Guidestone, before they got blown up, which I say it was a signal to begin the depopulation agenda. Or maybe it was a self-defense, just to blow it up to show that, hey, we know who you are. But I don't think it is. I think it was a signal to the rest of the world, those who are in cahoot with each other. The time is now. Let's go. Let's bring this world population down to 500 million as we aspire to. So, let's say they split Israel in two with the 7-year peace treaty, or the two-state solution to begin with. And they do it. They carry it out. Israel is split in two. Our Father in heaven is going to avenge that by splitting America in two. The Dr. Deagle report says, don't know if we can guesstimate that he is correct, but he said before the year 2024, over 100 million Americans will be dead. Along this line, the new Madrid fault line, is a total amount of people of 40 million people in the wake, sitting and living on top of the most dangerous fault line in this country. I'm not so worried about the West Coast. God's going to take care of that too, those despotic people living over there in California. Don't worry, they will be dealt with. They're going to go into the ocean. Yeah, if you live in San Diego, get out. Get out now. I'm serious. Rather come to Texas, but leave your ideology, meaning your democratic view lines. We don't need communism, because that's what liberalism is today, is communism. Maybe it's always been. Don't know. But now you have it. So you heard me say this. Now you can go watch the documentary of what they did out here. and what it would lead to. And then you can start putting 2 and 2 together. And no, it's not 5, it's 4. Okay, so this voguism, you can stick that where the sun don't shine. It's going to be your own undoing, being a Vogster. Everything Vogue turns to crap. Everything. It's a communistic viewpoint. And it derives from narcissism. Narcissism, that's a very serious mental illness. And if you look at Huckel over here, right? And if you look at Newsom over here, and we look at this clown here, they're all narcissists. And if you are a narcissist, you should not be able to possess any position in any office in government or any high-end institutions, because you're dangerous. Not only to yourself, mentally, but you're dangerous to others. Because you don't discuss with anybody. You can't reason with a narcissist. Look it up, what narcissism is. It's a serious mental illness. And we got Hokel over here, we got bloody gangster over here, and then we got this fleeting lunatic, senile, and pedophile over here, all narcissists. And they're hell-bent in destroying this country. Plus a lot of other people. 7,000 people is running this planet into the ground. They're all narcissists. Every one of them. And they worship Satan, not God Almighty, our Father in heaven. So I will end the video here. And you can go watch this documentary. And when you put those 2 and 2 together, you know what's going to unfold. And it will happen. It's going to happen exactly as I said. This new Madrid fault line is going to go off in 3 sections, in 3 intervals, rapidly after each other. And it's going to cost over 40 million people's lives. Figure that out. God bless you.